believer should be that we are always going to prepare spiritually for these things, just as we mentally prepare for our physical needs. For example, I want to retire, I want to go for vacation, I want to do this, that, and the other. These are all good things, but those aspirations should also be spiritually, which should be I want to go do my Hajj, inshallah. I want to memorize the Quran. I want to spend another Ramadan in itikaf. These are um, very important intentions to have. Why? Because in the absence of such intentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not give you that reward that you would have gained just because of those intentions. If we were to die tomorrow and we sincerely have this desire that I want to memorize the Quran, I want to gain closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it never came to fruition, who knows, on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may raise one as a hafid of Quran. So we have to broaden our spiritual intentions, inshallah. This is going to be a very annoying taste. So as you know, the guilty verdict has been given to the police officer. So we are awaiting a press conference at 5 o'clock downtown. So all the messages are coming in. So I apologize for that. It's been a tense time for the city of Dallas. Yeah, she's been found guilty of murder. They're going to right now after lunch come to sentence. They're gonna be focusing and deliberating on the sentence. So inshallah. So yeah, this is again a part of our community. And as I said last night, what does it mean to care about this ummah? What are we doing to care about this ummah? Does that mean my people, my circle, my friends, my family? Last night I was honored to go and spend some time at the Gurdwara for the police officer who was killed and ambushed in Houston. And I met one of his very dear friends at the Richardson Gurdwara, and they were very grateful for our presence. Keep in mind, the Sikh community has been traumatized since 9/11 because many people think that they're Muslims, right? So they keep on shooting them and attacking them in taxis and stuff. Uh, where do we stand as Muslims in this? We want people to support us, but that support is good, but it's not productive, and I'll tell you why. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you all Muslims, gave us all the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's a mercy to humanity, and until we don't demonstrate that mercy, it's not going to affect the world. So if we want mercy from people, but we're not willing to give mercy to the people, Allah's mercy will not descend upon humankind. So it's a very important time for us to rethink what does it mean for us to be a Muslim and what are the boundaries of Islam. For us, it's like, okay, my house, my home, my classes, this is my Islam. No, the whole world is your Islam. We do not, and I've said this multiple times this year and last year, we do not segregate from the world to perfect our Islam. We actually become part and parcel of the fabric of society to make Islam known and for Islam to bring forth stability on this earth. So, mashallah, it's been a few months that we've been away. Now we're back. Alhamdulillah, a lot has transpired in between that time and now. And a lot will continue to transpire because our world is evolving quite swiftly. But nevertheless, we will continue to focus on personal building, personal growth. We could be discussing hadith right now. We could be discussing fiqh. We could be discussing an array of topics in this 1 hour, 20-minute class. But we're not doing that. Why? Because all these knowledges and subjects are irrelevant at a time when personal development isn't there. You could bring the best of books home, but if you don't have bookshelves to place them, then you are disrespecting those books. You're going to put some on the kitchen counter, some underneath the dining table, and that's not the place. So before we bring forth more knowledge, I'm an advocate for restructuring, rebuilding, and reaffirming our souls and our bodies so that we can hold that weight and we can move forward, inshallah, with the knowledge that's needed in our world today. Before we begin our subject matter today, sisters, is there any questions anyone has to ask? Because I believe that's how we begin, with questions. Yes.
It's not related to the class, but
That's
it's
fine.
a general question actually. Is there something, a religious ruling on not having a dua at the masjid for a deceased person?
So, is there a religious? Sorry, could you say it again so the people could hear that? Is there a religious?
Is there a reason a religious reason as
Oh,
opposed to.
is there a religious reason for not having a dua in the masjid? Very good. So, no, there is not. There is not a religious reason for not holding a dua in a masjid. Holding a dua in a masjid is good to pray for the deceased, pray for people around the world. This is very good. Uh, but every community has to do based on their demographics, their needs, and their situations and circumstances. So you may be alluding to yesterday's dua, maybe? Yeah, okay. So basically, the masjid has policies in place, and it was made the best of interest during the previous imam's time to not have any type of dua related programs in the masjid. And the thing is that it sounds bad, it sounds like this is mean, but you have to understand also there's at least 40, 50 different cultures here in this masjid. And when someone opens one door, it opens another door. In the Arab tradition, they do azza. And azza, they come together, they sit in a big circle, they don't read Quran, they just have dates and coffee, and they spend time with the grieving family. They're giving moral support. And in our Indian Pakistani communities, we have from Quran khanis to just making dua. There's many different practices. The thing is that a masjid has to think from a much broader perspective beyond just the religious part of it. And so uh, it does not mean that there's something against any particular family or person. Yeah, so the masjid here, in our masjid here, there is certain policies put in place. And since there's a history behind why they came in place, I personally don't want to start moving things around. I want to leave those the way they are until we see in the future if there is a need to revisit those policies. But nevertheless, anytime someone tells us someone is sick, someone's mother's ailing, someone's uncle died in Bangladesh, whatever else, we make those du'as right away. And sometimes we make multiple du'as. For Kashmir, we've been making for 2 or 3 weeks, we're doing Qunut and Nazila in Fajr. We were making the du'a for them also and reminding our congregation. So we will continue to make the ummah aware and our community aware and to guide them to what they need to do. But again, we are limited in our capacity of what we can say yes or no to. So, alhamdulillah. Inshallah.
Just to follow up on
Sure.
question is how was having the gathering, like reading together the Quran with the friends and family?
So-
Not like back home, like sometimes they pay to read, right? This is just the family and friends getting together.
Quran is the most important thing the deceased needs at this time. You could build a huge monument for them and make a beautiful tombstone. It's irrelevant. They need the spiritual power, and that is the Quran. They need those rewards. So any type of sadaqah, any type of good deed, any type of recitation or dhikr that can be put in their account is truly a blessing. See, what happened was, which if you go to Guyana, for example, in Guyana, back in the days, there was only a few things that the people really cling to as a religion. The Guyanese and Trinidadians were very unique communities where, in Trinidad, for example, there was a mix of religion. In one family, you could find a Hindu, a Christian, a Muslim, an atheist in one family, under one roof, and that was because they never understood the entirety of their faith, and there was a lot of diluting of the faith. In Guyana, similarly, was not that bad, but for them, there was like 2 seasons that they were really very passionate about. One was the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, and the other one was a Quran Khani if someone passed away. So this was a tradition that was taken, of course, from our Eastern culture, and they worked on it. Some scholars saw this to be wrong. And with all respect to all scholars, if you don't understand the entirety of the problem or the situation, I don't want to call a problem a situation or a circumstance, then you may cause more harm than the current harm. So then, back in the 90s, there used to be khutbahs, Quran khanis, bidah, and this and the other. So there was a real strong vendetta and attack on this practice. I personally will say that they were semi-right, but they were mostly wrong. Now I'll explain this why. So Allah forbid someone passed away in your home. The whole community comes to your home. They're expecting food, drink, water. They're expecting service. They're expecting to use your bathrooms. They're expecting to hang around as long as they want to hang around. And here you are grieving the loss of a family member and you don't have personal space. And then that repeats itself after the 3 days. It goes on for 3 days, repeats itself on the 10th day, and then the 40th day, and then on the fourth month, and then the first year. It keeps on happening. I believe if someone has passed on, everyone should come to their support. Everyone should come there and cook for the family and take care of them and give them their personal space. So it was the fact that this aspect of it to me was troublesome. But again, there was a constant knocking down that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So in those communities that were told that this is wrong, you will no longer see any reminiscence of Islamic practice or desire in them anymore because this was taken away from them. So at the end of the day, coming together and reading without making it a systematic trend that we have, the 3 days, 10 days, 40 days, whatever, do every day. I tell everyone, anyone who you know or you don't know that's passed away, every day you should read at least one Yasin and say, oh Allah, give the blessings of this to all those who are alive, all those who are sick, all those who have passed away, to all the prophets, to all the Sahaba. Just bless it. Why? Because it goes. And if we're giving good deeds to people today, tomorrow someone will be there to give us good deeds. SubhanAllah, look at the janazah turnout on Saturday. It, I was mind boggled by that. I was so amazed that there were so many people and concentrated in one place. This was people coming together to show true love, true connection, true grieving for these people. And this was a prayer. So I believe prayer should continue, but the method in which we conduct those prayers from those timelines and how we burden the family, that has to change. That really has to change. But we shouldn't totally nip the practice because we're depriving the deceased then. So yeah. Any last questions, inshallah? So I had requested a time change, but I was told that 12:30 to 2 is what you all want, so that's fine. If, for example, on some Tuesdays, if we were to meet a bit earlier so I don't miss the class due to meetings and stuff, would that be okay? How early is okay for the sisters? I think that's the most important question. 11:30 to 1?
There's a group of us. We have a class that will start Sahad on Tuesdays,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't finish until minimum 12, 2 hour Arabic
Oh,
class.
okay, so you have the Arabic class. Okay, so then what we'll do then based on that
That's
is,
until December. I don't know if it's going to change afterwards.
no, some of these meetings that are ongoing right now should start subsiding, and I'll make sure that they don't schedule them on a Tuesday. But nevertheless, that's fine. So we'll continue to keep it 12 o'clock, inshallah.
Yeah, occasionally it should be okay.
Occasionally, it's going to be once in a blue moon, so inshallah.
Also, if we could request to change the room, if we can move upstairs, because some of the sisters, they cannot come here then.
So there's
they
still a
cannot pray.
class going on upstairs, I believe.
I'm not sure. We can find out, right? Yeah, we can find out.
Yes, yeah.
They don't pray, they can't come.
Sister Huma's class having a class upstairs, okay. So what we can do is, if the sisters want to stay upstairs, whatever, that's perfectly fine with me. Ask Sister Maya and them to perfectly fine with me. Ask Sister Maya and them to designate a room, and I think that would be perfectly fine. So then we could finish, and then sisters could go straight for the Dhuhr prayer instead of being told to leave from here and then go upstairs early because the brothers are coming. I'm perfectly fine with that. Wherever the sisters decide with the management, I'm open to that, inshallah. Is that good, everyone? Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. أما بعد رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمن بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. So here, sisters, we are moving forward on page 119. Alhamdulillah, within the course of a year, we covered 118 pages. And again, once more, this is about rebuilding, restructuring, reinforcing our individual selves. If we can restructure ourselves, then we can, number one, hold the weight of knowledge. Number two, weather turbulent storms. Number 3, bring forth goodness into our lives. Number 4, be goodness for others. There may be certain medications that a doctor would give you and or he would suggest or she would suggest for you, like vitamins or something. But if you have a very bad stomach, your stomach will not accept it. It'll be just in and out because it's too strong for your stomach. So what happens is that even something which is very good, has a great benefit to it, will not be conducive for the body because at that time the body is ailing. If we were to read the book that I want to do after this, How to Be the Happiest Woman Alive, and you're to put those teachings on an unstable structure, which we all are, there's some shakiness in our lives, it's just going to fall. So if I had a glass vase with beautiful roses, someone brought for the masjid, I'm not just going to put it anywhere, right? I'm not going to put it on the chair because someone could come and tip the chair. I'm not going to put it on this table because it shakes. I'm going to look for something stable. The first call action is stability. Put the vase on something stable. Our goal in this journey has been to restabilize ourselves so our strength could be a source of strength for others. Not only will we be strong within ourselves, but we will be able to share a portion of that strength. Today, all of us are so overstretched, overwhelmed, overexhausted that we are not only depleted our energy and our abilities, but we're going into minus right now. And so beyond giving our energy over, it's like we're giving pieces of our body over because there's nothing left. And Allah doesn't want that for us. He wants us to be strong and He wants us to be giving. You can only give if you have the strength. You can only give if you have. And that's what we're here to gain, is that strength and stability, inshallah. So the next subject matter here in this book, which is the ideal Muslimah, is the Muslim woman who understands, she enjoins what is good and forbids what is evil. This is a very important topic. When we talk about Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar, which in certain cultures and in certain demographics, this very important religious practice becomes a means of pushing many away. I'm telling you this is good for you, and I'm telling you this is wrong. Is that the way Allah wanted it for us to do? We need to revisit Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. So like Saudi Arabia has their Mutawa police, right? The Mutawa police means religious police. Their title is exactly that, what the Quran says: command good, forbid evil. The Quran, what it says, there is no doubt in it. We should never doubt, question the authenticity, the legality of what the Quran has said. But what we do need to do is to research, understand, a complete and wholesome understanding of what the context of that is. We have to command people to good. But how do you command someone to do good? That being in your own homes, your own spouse, your own children, your neighbors, your fellow Muslims and non-Muslims. How do you command people to do good? How are we doing it and how should we be doing it is a conversation for today. If we tell our children, go pray, okay? They're 14, 15 years old now. You know, they're kind of slacking off. They don't have the inclination. You're like, go pray. And they say to you, no, I don't want to pray. Okay? You said, go pray. And they responded, I don't want to pray. Guess what happened there? Anyone know? They did kufr. They rejected a command of Allah. And it wasn't their fault. It was the fault of the one who said it in the way they said it. Understand this. Yes, you have to remind them to pray. It's your responsibility. But when you understand that they are iffy in what they're doing right now by being forceful, By being forceful, you're actually pushing them further. Okay? Now, forbid from evil, right? You tell them, for example, you better not do what's wrong out there, or you better not go drink, or whatever else the case may be. And they go out of the house with this illness or animosity. They're harboring this vengeance in their heart, like, who are you to tell me? I'm an adult now. I can do what I want, right? And they go and they do it because the way you said it to them in front of the other siblings was pointing them out. You shamed them, right? You said in front of the younger brother and sister. You actually exposed one of their ills. And they went and they did it. This is a kufr because they are rejecting, they're denying Allah's command. So the thing is, what we are missing in our ummah today isn't knowledge. I always pick on this point. I picked on it in Richardson over this weekend. It's not knowledge that we're missing. We're missing wisdom. We truly are missing wisdom. Houses and homes are breaking in the absence of wisdom, not knowledge. Everyone knows wisdom is just that it's not there. Wisdom is what's missing. Ud'u ila sabili rabbik bil-hikmati wal-maw'idhati al-hasana. The Prophet Muhammad is being commanded in the Quran, call to the path of your Lord. Call these people. In the 13 years of Makkah, they were still drinking. In the 13 years of Makkah, fornication wasn't forbidden. Allah's Prophet ﷺ is being told, call them towards the path of your Lord. Turn them away, pull them away, bring them back from their bad practices and bad habits and bad ways to the path of light and the path of your Lord, bil hikmah, with wisdom. Wisdom. People are running from masjids because we're using the religion to run them off. You cannot tell a person. You have to show a person. I remember a brother in Tampa gave us this example and it stuck to me. A person is running the wrong way and they're running. They're running. Do you just go up to them, abruptly stand in front of them and twist them around? You can't do that. He's going to collide or she's going to collide with you. If not, if you twist them, they might break their ankle or something. You don't do that. The wisdom is that you run behind them till they realize you're close and they're comfortable with your presence. Then you run alongside them that they are happy to have you by their side. And that confidence will build so that now if you start changing the course, i.e. you start directing the course, they will follow you. They're running in the woods right now, or they're running in the forest, or they're running on this big parking lot. There's no set lines for the track, but you can now dictate that track because they're comfortable enough and they trust you. Now you can make that big turn. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went down to the lowest of lowest, to the alleys and to those places where he can scoop everyone up. I'm saying metaphorically. He went everywhere to scoop everyone up. He even tried to scoop Abu Jahl up. Come to the path of your Lord. He didn't say it once, he said it multiple times. Oh my uncle, you come also. Oh my uncle. The same uncle that called him Majnoon. The same relatives that called him Sahir. The same relatives that called him Kadhab, liar, magician, crazy, mad person. He went to them with that love. Why? Because the same Allah that commanded him and the same Allah that commanded us through the same word is telling us with wisdom. Wisdom is lost. Knowledge in the absence of wisdom can become a curse. Bil hikmati. Hikmah is the first thing. You need to know. I think it's in Pashto or Farsi, Mardam Shanasi, Moka Shanasi. You understand the person, you understand the time, you understand the place. You have to understand the wisdom is to understand the person, the time, the place. If you don't understand the person you're talking to, the time you're speaking to them of it, and the place you're speaking to them at, you have pushed someone away. You have to know these three things. I want you to write these three things down. Remember, the person, the time, and the place. For example, a person has never come to the masjid in their life, and someone died and now they're coming. Who's the person? A person who is on the borderline of Islam. And now you're going to give them a lecture outside these doors of how they should address before they came inside, or how they should tuck in their chains because it's a bad influence on the other children. Huh? Who's the person you're talking to? Are they a person that they will, number one, acknowledge you, respect you, trust you, follow you? Just the example of the running. Will they do those four things or not? If not, then you're not supposed to be talking to that person in that way. The wisdom is assalamu alaikum. The wisdom is welcome. The wisdom is can I serve you? This is wisdom. Because those four things are absent, don't try to tell the person something. Because they're on the last thread of leaving Islam. Not only will they have broken that thread, you push them 100 yards forward, 100 yards further. Right? So, who's the person? What is the time? They're coming for a funeral. They're coming for a funeral, and they're just coming because they know in society to pay respect to someone who dies, right? The time isn't the time to give fatwas. Maulana Sahab, औरत कब्रिस्तान आ सकती है? A person asked me that question on Saturday. I just looked them in the face. I just kept on looking at them like, are you serious? Can a lady come to the graveyard? There are some family members there. Someone has passed. Now you want me to talk about this? You want to ask these fatwas right now? This is the worst part of our knowledge. That's why I call knowledge a curse. If you don't have the groundwork, the framework, the foresight, the insight, the wisdom, it's a curse. You will use that knowledge to push people away. So you want to start giving fatwas right now? Is this the place? The people, we talked. Now the place. And the time. The place was a graveyard. The time is someone is grieving. And now you want to give fatwas. Our religion isn't fatwas, brothers and sisters. Our religion is a recipe, a model, a path of love. That it is the love of each other that draws us to the love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is the love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that draws people to Allah. We always talk about top down. I'm saying bottom up. You can't talk about the love of Allah because it's not something you can see. It's not something you can experience until you know the love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we don't know the love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam aside from books until or unless that is exemplified in our actions. So if you want people to experience the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has to be through people. It has to be through us. When we exemplify Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are nothing but, as I always said to this class, and I've said to multiple classes, we are the pipes running under the sink. We are the pipes under the ground. Frisco Utilities or Plano Utilities has water pipes running under the ground. No one cares about those water pipes. They just care that when they open the faucet, there's water. People should not care who you are. You and I are irrelevant. What is supposed to flow through us is water. So when they go to the faucet of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they get water. And when they get that water, they love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when they quench their thirst, and when they take a shower, or when they make wudu, and they feel refreshed and they feel good, they love Allah. We cannot, this is not about building our bio. This is not about building our footprint on this earth. We are here to continue expanding the footprint of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are continuing to expand that footprint so through it they will recognize who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. This is exactly what's missing. The person, the place, and the time and the place. So wisdom has to come back. Now you understand how many text messages I get in a day? That's at least maybe, they're just going on and on. So alhamdulillah, wisdom is important. Let's read what the book says. The Muslim woman who understands her religion reads the ayah, which is from verse number 71 of chapter 9. The believing men and women are protectors one of another. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. I want to stop here. Allah first said protectors. Okay? The prerequisite for the rest of this verse, which is the subject matter, enjoining good and forbidding from evil, has to be in the context of protecting people. Imagine if we talk to our children tonight and we want to protect them. Not that cultural protection. I'm your mother, what's going to happen if the world finds out? Not that type of protection. That's selfish protection. That's protecting your honor, not theirs. That's protecting your name, not theirs. Protecting means what a mother truly does for a child, what a father truly does for a child. I don't want to see you harmed. I will literally lay my life down for you to cross over a broken road so you can walk over me, but I don't want you to be harmed. If you are now a protector of your child, a protector of your spouse, a protector of your home, a protector of your fellow sisters, now this verse will come to place. Without the protector, which is the wali, awliya, and that's what Allah said, don't take the Jews and the Christians as your awliya. Awliya means protectors. Allah didn't say don't take the Jews and Christians as your friends. They can be your friends. They cannot be your protector. You're supposed to be their protector. But the only way you can be their protectors is if you're protectors of each other first. We don't want to protect each other, but then we want to protect the world. That's false. It's fake. Protect each other first. الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. They are protectors of one another. Now, if you are a protector of one another, and you truly care for one another, and you truly honor one another, and you truly look up to the other, look up at people, see them above you. There shouldn't be a single person that enters your life, in your masjid, in your home, in your gatherings, but you see them to be higher than you. You are lower and they are higher. This is the mindset that has to be created. It's a spiritual discipline. It comes with effort. The lower you go for water, the more cleaner, the more better that water is. In Florida, we have that sulfur water, like it has this nasty smell, and it makes the houses, the walls, the streets yellow. It's because they go only so shallow down. Once they get water, they stop. But if you go deeper than that, you get pure, clean water. But, get the kamchor. People want to just cut things short. Hey, we got water, there's a well, we're going. When those sprinklers go on at nighttime, it smells. It smells like toilet. Why? Because it's like sulfur in that water. Go deeper, it's pure. You don't smell that here. I left here at 11:55 last night from the masjid, and the sprinkler was on. My car was getting washed. I was like, oh my, how am I going to enter my car now? And the first thing that came to mind was Florida. Because if that water touches your car, you need to go wash your car. Not only will it smell, it starts over time eroding on the paint. So what happened was, smelled the water, it smelled just like our tap water. This is not Florida, this is Dallas. I said, alhamdulillah, you know what? I walked through, I said, if I get wet, it's not a problem. So the thing is, how deep are we rooted? If we go deeper, the deeper our roots, the deeper and lower we go, the higher in esteem we put humanity. And when you do that, you are a true protector. Then the verse says, they enjoin what is just and they forbid what is evil. They observe regular prayers, practice regular charity, and they obey Allah and His Messenger. On them will Allah pour His mercy, for Allah is exalted in power, wise. This verse has everything in it. I haven't started the reading yet. This verse has everything in it. When you are a protector, when you enjoin good, it will be, let's go pray. I'm going to pray, or let's all go pray. I'm going to pray means what? You're welcome to come. Let's all go pray. Depending on the circumstances where you are, there is never in Islam one size fits all. This fatwa shopping and this fatwa flexing, as I call it, needs to stop. Just as a doctor, a physician doesn't sit down and speak about who they gave a prescription or how many prescription of a medicine they gave to people, in the same fashion, we don't need to sit down and talk about fatwas. A fatwa is a specific decision based on a specific person's specific circumstances in the specific area that they live in. So you can't come and say, is mortgage halal or haram? You can't ask that question. It's not a blanket answer. The answer has to be on the specific person. Yes, interest is haram. We understand that. But based on a circumstance in a certain place, in a certain person's condition, where they may not be able to find a place to rent, where the rent, if they find, exceeds almost double the price of a mortgage, what is a fatwa then? That fatwa is for them, not for the masses. So you cannot say, I heard in Pakistan, I heard in India, I heard in Bangladesh, I heard in Saudi, I heard in Egypt, I heard in Sudan, I heard in England, this is what they do. Good for them. Blessings be on them. But that's not for here. So when one ruling, one way cannot be replicated throughout the world, one mindset from me cannot be replicated anywhere. I cannot be easy on myself and hard on the people. Because you know what that takes you down when you start telling people to do what's good and forbidding them from evil, and you're not rooted as a protector, you will not do what you're telling people to do. This is where that danger zone comes in. You tell people go pray, but you don't want to pray. You tell people to be honest, but then you lie. You tell people to share and to be generous, but you're not. You're the last person to even give a penny. This is where it goes wrong. That's why Allah put the structure. The believing men and the believing women are protectors one of another. When you speak to the person, they know you to be their protector and well-wisher. And when they are spoken to, they're being spoken to from someone who is truly their protector and well-wisher. Now, when you do good and tell them to do good, it is not going to be through your words. It is not going to be through calling them out. It is not going to be by putting them down. It's going to be through your actions. It is going to be in seclusion. It is going to be with utmost honor. It is going to be done after you prayed for them, you gave charity for them, you gave a gift to them, and then you spoke to them nicely. Then it's going to happen. Islam isn't one of those quick fix like tapes or gorilla glue, you just put it on and it's done. No, it's not like that. Even that will break after. We are not a quick fix religion. We are not a face religion. We are an embodiment. We are a soul. Our soul is much more powerful than our body and our numbers. So if we go beyond these numbers that we are so overjoyous with, we are 1.8 billion, we're going to be 2 billion, and what? We're 2 billion eggshells that have no yolk inside of them. We need the yolk. We need the egg. The anda is the inside, it's not the outside, right? So we need to get that back. So what happens in the name of religion is more detrimental than that what happens without religion. What's happening today in the name of Islam, in the name of Allah and His Rasul, justifying them, hijacking them, using their name to justify something is becoming more harmful for our generations than what's happening without that name. That is why people run from the religion. So when you enjoin to good and you forbid from evil, you do it in a way that they don't feel in the slightest way that you have demeaned them, or you despise them, or you degraded them, or you humiliated them. The worst thing we can do to a Muslim is to humiliate them. The worst thing. The Prophet Muhammad never humiliated anyone, nor did he allow his Sahabas to. Remember that one Sahabi, I won't take no names, called another Sahabi, "O son of a black woman." It wasn't out of spite, it wasn't hatred, it was a nickname he gave. The son of a black woman. What did the Prophet Muhammad do? He rained down anger on him. And he made the precedent that you never go that way, even if it's a joke. See, sometimes we become so loose because of our friendships. we can start saying things to people, right? We could call people dubli, moti, whatever. We call people names, right? And we think it's fun and they're taking it fine. If it hurts, and it will hurt, those words cannot be said. Right now, you two can laugh on it. Tomorrow, it will break you up. It will break up your families. It will break up your circles. It's going to become a contagious virus. You cannot say these things. These Sahabas were tight. It wasn't like they were hating each other. That Sahabi and that Sahabi, they were tight. They were good friends. But Prophet Muhammad said, you cannot say that. So when you will enjoin good and you will forbid evil, it will be with utmost respect, dignity, honor, while holding them above yourself. And when you know that you're doing good and forbidding from evil is actually working and it's beneficial, is that you yourself are doing it. They observe regular prayers. They practice regular charity. I've said this before. When we talk about regular prayer, when Quran says aqimus salah and atu zakah, aqimus salah is metaphorical for all internal worship. And atu zakah is metaphorical for all external worship. Aqimus salah encompasses you yourself, and atu zakah encompasses what you own in your property. Right? Whatever is external is atu zakat. By giving charity, you're protecting your family, you're protecting your property, you're protecting your businesses, you're protecting your assets, you're protecting your wealth. That's what atu zakat is kind of focusing on. And aqimus salah is focusing on you, your body, your soul, your mind, your intellectual capacity, your sanity, your stability. That's what it's talking about. So the internal worship and the external worship, i.e., the religion doesn't become where you say, I am better than you, rather where it makes you more grounded in your prayers and your regular charity and in your obedience to Allah and His Messenger. Allah says on this, Ulaika, these are the people that Allah will pour His mercy on. Allah will pour His mercy on. It's like maple syrup. When you pour it from the bottle on pancake or waffles, sometimes more comes out. It just happens. But it's pouring. It's not drops, right? It's not like one of those salt shakers or those coarse pepper shakers. You have to sit there and grind it. Hot duk jata hai. Your hands are tired. Before you eat the food, you're there grinding pepper. Your hands are hurting, right? Allah will pour His mercy. It will flow. Allah will not withhold from you. You know why? Because you are channeling Allah's mercy. Since you're channeling, Allah will continue to pour it through you. Imagine if Allah poured one bucket of water in the pipes today, and you turn on the faucet and you start taking a shower, and before you soap yourself, the water is gone. There's only one bucket. It's done. Allah wants you to spread mercy like a river, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be like an ocean that is spreading mercy to the world. So Allah will pour mercy on you because you are distributing that mercy. Am I bringing people closer to Allah? Or am I pushing people away from Allah? Let verse number 71 of Surah Tawbah, which is chapter 9, serve as our reflection for today. Allah will pour mercy. You will be engrossed and enriched with Allah's mercy. You will be immersed in His mercy. You'll be immersed in His mercy. You will have so much mercy that mercy will flow from your fingertips. Every word you utter doesn't have to be eloquent. It doesn't have to be with the right accent. It doesn't have to be with the right vocabulary. People will not see your words. They will feel that mercy. They will just want to feel your mercy. Ulaika yarhamuhumullah. Allah is the exalted in power. Look at the way Quran verses finish. Shadidul iqab, Sami'ul basir. The endings have a great weight on what the verse is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thank you so much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about exalted in power. Meaning when you tell people to do things, never should you feel you have power over them. Never should you feel that you are controlling someone. Power belongs to Allah. So if you ever feel that you're a notch up, you've forgotten Allah is exalted in power, you have flawed. Biggest mistake. Power is with who?
Allah.
Allah. Sisters, power is with who? Allah. And Allah says He's exalted in power, and He then says, the wise. Take your wisdom from Allah. Take wisdom from what Allah is telling us in the Quran. Take wisdom from the practices of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even that time when he jokingly said to that elderly lady that old women will not enter paradise, and she started crying. Right? The old woman went into paradise. She's like, "What happened to me? Like, what just went wrong?" He said, "No, you will enter paradise young. Women will enter, men will enter young. You're not going to enter old. Allah will give you the specific age and specific body. Allah will make you the best before you enter paradise." But even when he said that joke, he made sure he clarified to her. And the wisdom that trickled from the Prophet's tongue after her tears became her laughter and smile. You know, he knew how to make people feel welcomed. There was never a gathering of the Prophet Muhammad where any Sahabi or Sahabiya could say that we were kind of left out or we were kind of ignored. No, he looked at everyone. He spoke with them. Every Sahabi felt that he was speaking to them only, as if it was a one-on-one. He was exclusively talking to them. And the way Allah speaks to us in the Quran, He's not cutting anyone out. He didn't shun the people of the book. The Christians believed in the concept of Trinity between Isa and Muhammad. Between the two prophets, within the 500 years, the Christian religion took a turn for the wrong. But Allah didn't call them kafirs. Allah says, Ya Ahl al-Kitab, O people of the book. O Jews, O Christians, you call yourself by that name, I will call you with that name also. I will not degrade you. I will not denigrate you. I will not put you down. I will respect you, Allah saying. So if Allah even spoke and revealed verses for Wahshi, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed verses for Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala, and for Abu Jahl, and for everyone, and for the mushrikeen in Makkah, He revealed in those 13 years and beyond it verses of love, verses of welcoming, verses of acceptance, verses of open arms reception. Why have we closed our doors on our own people? I can't even talk about us going out and doing interfaith work and talking to people when we have closed our doors on our own. We've closed the door. It's like homes today. When we went to Madian Saleh, where the people of Saleh alayhi salam lived, each home had one thing unique in it. There was no doors, there was no walls. We got to go into many of their homes. It's just beautiful architecture. It's a sight to see because these homes they made with their hands. The stonework in these mountains is amazing. But the bedrooms, the sitting area, the kitchen cooking area, it was open. Imagine a home that's just open. And within this open surroundings is your kitchen, living room, dining room, bedroom, study room. It's just open, right? It's just an open atmosphere, a welcoming atmosphere. What we've done is exactly how our rooms in our houses are structured today. We've enclosed every room. We've enclosed and put doors and locks in every room. Bathroom has a door, which is fine. Bedrooms have a door. Closets have a door and a lock. Attic. We've just made compartments. So we have closed off homes. Our homes have closed off families. That's how we closed off our ummah also. Into rooms, into doors, into attics with locks. We've closed everyone up. This cannot continue to happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed 1500 years ago. That's a far stretch, but we'll go with this. And she finds herself on the highest level of intellectual and social status that any woman of any nation or race has ever known. Islam has stated that women are fully human and are legally competent and independent. There is no difference between women and men when it comes to owning property, buying or selling, or arranging a marriage. This is something which had never previously been the case in any nation where women were seen as possessions of men under their tutelage and command. This verse, the believing men and women are protectors one of another, raises women to the level of loyalty and friendship with men, and makes them partners in the work of enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil. Women are responsible for fulfilling their duties on equal terms with men, as both are charged with the duty of populating and cultivating the earth and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala therein. Let me explain what the author just said here. He's saying that this verse has taken women up another notch. So we learn from Surah Nisa that men and women are equal in their humanity, yes? They're equal in their ability to buy or sell, to own property, which again, I told you the history, and he also told us the history. Until the late 1800s, women had no possession on their own property. There was nothing to their name. So Allah had given them the right of being the human. Allah gave them a right, of course, and of being owners and heirs of their family members. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave them the right of marriage. What does that mean? A woman has a say in the marriage. So if mom and dad propose someone for a daughter, she has the right to say yes or no to it. It's not an imposing. See what's hurting Islam nowadays. Domestic violence is hurting Islam's name, right? And that's not in our Islam. What's hurting our Islam is forced marriages. You always hear in Pakistan, Afghanistan, forced marriages, throwing acid on people's faces. That's not our Islam. See what happened? Our Islam has taken on a whole new picture, if you understand that. Within time, Islam will go from being this to being this. It's going to go from being fluid to being hard, from being clear to being dark, from being a source of benefit to... Yeah, sunglasses help you right now, but maybe in England it won't help you. I'm sorry. Maybe in England, except for 4 days, it might not help you. But but thing is, it went from being something to something totally else. Every time people say, "Oh, so you're the religion that abuses women. You're the ones who torture your women. You're the ones who force marriages." The country is so obsessed with that, they don't understand that how many child weddings are happening in this country lawfully. Because you can't see it. You're so caught up. You're so caught up. We're so caught up with what they're doing, we cannot see what we are doing. So why can't we just go back to Quran and Hadith? Why can't we just go back and find the solution? This isn't Islam. And we don't just say it, we start living what Islam is while we educate those people who are doing it that Islam is not this. This has to stop. So not only is the author saying this verse has taken women from beyond being the recognition of humans to owning their property, to conducting business and trade, to having a same marriage. This verse has now taken women to the point that men and women in their highest level. Now I want to skip a level here. I'll talk about this level later. The highest level is that you are protectors one to another. You are well-wishers. I.e., a man isn't a protector of a woman. He is the caretaker and responsible for the outcome of what happens in his home. But it doesn't mean a man is the only one to take care of a woman. Woman has a responsibility from this verse to also take care of a man, from being in the sense that she wishes well. She wants to do well for her husband, her father, her brother, her son, and the community at large. See, what's happening right now in America, we have women masjids now, we have the masjid. We went from masjid being cultural masjid to being sects of religion to being school of thoughts. Now we're going to gender-based masjid. What's next? Are we going to have a children's masjid? Oh, we already have those. We have third spaces, right? For teenagers, third spaces. So what is a masjid now? What is a masjid? A masjid is everyone's masjid. A masjid is where everyone does their part, says their piece, contributes their abilities towards making this community ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. We're helpers of one to another. The Sahabiyat played instrumental roles in decision-making processes for wars, for migration, for knowledge, for decisions that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ made. They were part of it. So we have to take off that cultural hat and see the religion from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying it. Allah raised women to a level of loyalty and friendship with men. Now that doesn't mean we're going to sit boys and girls together. No, friendship with men means that you have to care for each other. You have to look out for each other. Partners in the work of enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil. Yes, there is in our religion where men have an obligation to do certain things which have not been clearly prescribed on women. Going to congregational prayers has been more enforced on the men than on the women, but it didn't forbid the women. Doing the janazah is been more on the men than it is on the women, but it wasn't forbidden on the women. So the thing is that Allah put certain responsibilities based on certain practices on the male gender, but it did not do it in the part of depriving the female gender. So look what happened here. Human rights, ownership, business and trade, inheritance, right? We talked about that, marriage. And we skipped something, went up here to that, the pinnacle, the top, right? What's this in between? This in between is what Muslim women and men today on the scale of liberalism are trying to prove to the world. No, I can be a doctor. I can be a firefighter. I can be a police officer. No one said you can't. No one said you can't. But what we're saying is to prove to the world that we are humans and we can do what we want is I'm going to go out in the world. I'll dress how I want. I'll do what I want. And I'll prove to America that I'm a liberal, progressive Muslim woman. Do you know where you're stopping? Allah took you above that. Allah took you a level above that. If the woman had to go to war, they went to war also. There was no stipulation, you can't. You understand? So we're fighting in a zone today to say, no, a Muslim woman has to prove she can be in politics, she can speak at the United Nations, and now she's a true Muslim woman. You've locked yourself in a very bad place. No one said that this wasn't okay. No one said that this was wrong. Some of the Sahabiyat were masters in medicine. We learned about that. They learned from their parents. Masters in medicines, masters in Islam. They taught religion. That was fine, but that wasn't what they flexed their muscles on. What we should flex our muscles on is Allah put us on the highest level where He cares for us and we care for each other. That's what the author is saying that this verse has done for us. Islam rescued women from their position of being mere chattels of men, which in most cases have given men control over life and death, and raised them to a level of equality and human dignity. When Islam gave women the duty of enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil, it gave her the status of a human being who, for the first time in history, was given orders, whereas under other systems, she was the one to whom orders were always given. Think about it. Allah put the woman in a position she can now give orders. She can now do things. Where in that culture and European culture and American culture, yes, we have to say what history is. Women were told what to do. Women couldn't say what should be done. Doesn't matter how valuable her word could be. That's why we talk about that lady who sat on the bus. What's her name? Rosa Parks? How courageous she was. It wasn't so much of her color as it was her gender. This was a gender color combination. She was an African woman sitting on a bus where males should sit and where white people should sit. Understand the difference here. This was a big shift. But guess what? Islam said they have those rights. Islam gave her the voice to speak. But then the question comes, we come from a religious family and that doesn't happen. My question then is, what is a definition of a religious family? So a religious family mentality may be, make her a hafiza, alima, keep her at home, and marry her off. Okay? This is what we call religious family. What benefit is her knowledge giving to the world? Because the woman is not the teacher of the children. She's the murabbi of the children. She has to raise them, but the father has to teach them. Woman's not responsible for teaching them. That's the father's responsibility. She just needs to give them that initial sprouting ability. If they sprout strong, now it's the father's responsibility. It's not the woman's responsibility. But we're going to make her a scholar, a hafiza, an alima, and take her to all these classes so she sits home with that knowledge as it rots in her mind. What is this? Islam is about empowering our world. We don't have enough male figures to empower this world. We need more, and we need our female sisters. It is a collaboration effort. This is not about showing moderation, or we're going to hold a conference. We're having 6 men on a panel and 6 women. We are very moderate people. We're very balanced. As I said before, I don't care if there's 9 men and 1 woman, or 9 women or 1 man. It's what you're bringing forth that the world needs at this moment. If the conference is about something that we find 9 expert females and 1 expert male, so be it. This is not about showing face. It's not about showing who's right, who's wrong. So what defines religion? When Allah said in chapter 9, which of course is the 113th surah to be revealed, it's one of the second to last surah, Surah Tawbah was revealed. It holds great weight that she needs to be in a position where she can contribute, not where she thinks she should contribute, or where society panders and says, we'll put a female in this position so people stay quiet. No, where you can contribute, where your voice is truly valid. This is not about face again, right? So Allah put her in a situation where she's giving orders, where under other systems, she was the one to whom orders were always given. Islam declared that in the sight of Allah, both genders were equally qualified to worship Him. Look at that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the believing man, the believing woman, the worshipping man, the worshipping woman. He pointed them out specifically. Why? Because the cultural norm was they were not significant. I.e., the women were not significant. So, yeah, just do whatever your husband tells. No. Allah said, I want the men to get Jannah. I want the women to get Jannah. I want the men folk to believe in me. I want the women folk to believe in me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this system of uniqueness, equality in that sense, importance, significance, contribution. Allah created that system. So if you have reservation with this system, you have reservation with Allah, not with me. You could say, well, the Imam of Plano Masjid says this, but the Imam of that Masjid said that. That's good for you. But Allah is saying this. This is not me talking. This is Allah's verse. This is the Quran. And this is an author who is interpreting this verse from the Saudi Arabia, which is very hard-lined Wahhabis. We know it. They're very strict in their religion. But the Quran is a Quran. You cannot manipulate the Quran. It is what it is. When Allah is saying it, you have to accept it. So, when Allah declared they're equal, qualified to worship Him, and they're also equally deserving of His mercy. Equally deserving of His mercy. Imagine if we continue with the concept that the man should dictate the religion, whatever else, and he'll go to the masjid, learn, and come back home. So you have 1 sprout of water coming home, inshallah, right? Whatever it is. Now imagine your sons, your daughters, and you are going. You have multiple sprouts. You have a water fountain of goodness coming home. Allah wants mercy for everyone. Why have we selected this? Why have we selected and designated who is worthy of Allah's worship and who is not? Who is first class citizen and who's second class? Did Allah say who's first and second? No, Allah said both. Allah said both, and then He said both are supposed to support each other. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala believes in the female servants of Him to be as important as the males, and the males to be as important as the females, we all are the ibadullah and ima'ullah. The question then becomes, what are we doing in the realm of this verse to represent and live that and propagate that? What are we doing? Our history is filled with women whose words and deeds reflect their noble Islamic character. They spoke the truth and felt that they had a responsibility before Allah to do so, and were never afraid to do it. One example of strength and maturity of Muslim women's character and the freedom that they had to express their opinions is the criticism voiced by a woman who was listening to the Khalifa Umar ibn Khattab forbidding excessive dowries and advocating that they should be limited to a certain amount. So Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu is discussing the issue of mahar. I don't want to call it dowry because the term dowry actually does not fit mahar. Dowry is kind of what the woman gives to the man. It's called jahaz, right? In Urdu, that's translation is dowry. Mahar does not translate because mahar is what the man gives to the women. So anyways, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu is talking about that this is becoming excessive amounts and it should be limited, and he was forbidden that this should be big numbers. So a woman stood up and said, "You have no right to do that, O Umar. He's Amirul Mu'mineen. And he is making a decision what he sees best for the ummah. He's serving the ummah, right? He's responsible for them." So she said, "You have no right to do that." She stood up and said it to him. Now look at this. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu is not right. Is not wrong. And neither is she. Umar ibn Khattab is looking at the angle of approach that if we continue this trend of excessive numbers, the next one's going to be more. We went from the hundreds to the thousands to the 10,000s. We've gone from the 10,000s to the 100,000s, right? And tomorrow it's going to have to be millions of dollars. So now it's taken on a whole role that you're purchasing someone's daughter, right? You're literally buying someone's daughter because these are big numbers. So Umar bin Khattab was saying, if we don't put a lock and a cap on this, it's just going to go crazy. But now she's saying, Umar, you don't have the right to do that. He said, why not? His words are, why not? He didn't say, "Are chup ho jao, be quiet, sit down, know your position, know your place. This is Allah's house. How dare you speak to me?" He said, why not? I want to learn. Why not? So she said, because Allah says, chapter 4, verse 20, "But if you decide to take one wife in place of another, even if you had given the latter a whole treasure for dowry." If you decide to take one wife in a place of another, the Quran verse saying that you divorce this wife, you want to marry another wife, right? And if you had given the latter a whole treasure for dowry, take not the least bit of it back. Quran says, you gave a treasure of dowry. She's not talking about what this verse is talking about. She's taking that word. وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمُ اسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا. You gave a qintar. You gave one of those women a qintar, which is like a humongous sum of dowry. فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا أَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. Are you going to take it by slander and a manifest wrong? She's not talking about the fiqh of this verse. She said Allah said qintar, a humongous sum. So if Allah did not put a cap, you gave the first one mahri Fatimi, so you have to give the other one mahri Fatimi. He didn't say that. He said you gave her a treasure. So if Allah didn't put a cap, who are you, Umar bin Khattab, to put a cap? Your job should be to say, hey guys, stop making this a competition.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
Allah Akbar, Allah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Let's just conclude with this. This is a very important story. So she makes a point to him. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu then says, the woman is right and the man is mistaken. The woman is right, the man is mistaken. Look at his words. He said, this woman. He honored her and pointed her out by saying she's a woman. He could have said like Sarah, and someone might say maybe that's a guy's name or something. No, he said, this woman is right and the man is mistaken, showing that he's not Khalifa. He could have said Khalifa Umar. No, he said the man is mistaken. The Khalifa Umar radiallahu anhu listened to this woman, and when it became apparent that she was right, he admitted that she was right and he was mistaken. Thus, a Muslim woman, and I want you to remember this, a Muslim woman set the earliest historic precedent of criticizing the head of state. And what a head of state was he? He was the rightly guided Khalifa, the greatest ruler of his age, a man who was feared, the conqueror of Persia and the Byzantine Empire. This woman could not have criticized and opposed him if it were not for her deep understanding of the religion that had given her the right of freedom of expression and commanded her to enjoy that which was good and forbid what was evil. Let me say a few things on this. Number one, if a woman speaks out today, we say in our cultures, oh, she's huh? She's got a big mouth, big head. She thinks she's something, What was the foundation again? بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْض. You are protectors and well-wishers of each other. If you need to open your mouth because you're a well-wisher, you're going to make a change in this world. And if you keep your mouth closed and you're a well-wisher, you're going to contribute towards the harm of this ummah. If you are not a well-wisher and you open your mouth, you're going to do more harm than good. The first thing Quran is saying, بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَا بَعْض, structure yourself. Know your inside, why you're saying what you're saying, to whom you're saying, when you're saying, where you're saying. You have to know that inside part. If you know the inside part first, if that is stable and rooted, and when you talk to a person, she never demeaned or degraded Umar ibn Khattab. She put him to the highest level of honor and position. It was because of the honor that she gave him and the knowledge she had. She contributed those two. She put those two together and she gave him that. That no, Umar ibn Khattab, this is wrong, and he accepted it. So today we need that ummah, and it's for that ummah that we don't need more professionals. We need more rooted individuals who can become any profession. Islam didn't say no to these things. That's why till now cultures in England and America and Canada in the West are fighting this simple thing. Can a girl become something in the world? This is what Islam's fighting about. Muslims are looking at their faith based on the fact, can they become something or not? If we make them the best individuals internally, inshallah, they will be the best externally also. So combine the Aqimus Salah Atu Zakah metaphor, internal worship and external worship. Combine that goodness and wisdom together and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you reflect on that verse that He guides our hearts and our souls and our minds to be well wishers one of to another, that He roots us into the deepest part of wisdom so that we can exemplify the highest point of light and mercy, and so that goodness could prevail, so that Islam could be reestablished as what Islam is, and so that humanity can work together. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan to all of you for your patience, inshallah. Next week, since we're not going to change the time, if I cannot opt out from this pre-conference lunch, I will have inshallah Mufti Wasim come. Sheikh Arslan is coming the week after, inshallah. He's committed when the clergy conference is happening. But nevertheless, I will ask them to discuss this topic. If not, whatever they teach us, inshallah, it is of benefit. Continue to come, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan for your participation. Keep us in your du'as, inshallah. We'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.